Welcome to the Villa Pride Down Under podcast, an Aston Villa supporters podcast brought to you from Australia. Today, it's just Spud and Tess. Rhino couldn't make it. Fortunately, his kids are a bit sick and he's a bit further ahead to us in the time zone over in Victoria today. But Tess and Rhino will be back to a podcast Wednesday. Tess, how are you, mate?
Doing good, buddy. Doing really good, actually. Oh, what a week it is. It's such a nice feeling this week. Hey, I got to Wet and Wild on Sunday after the game, waking up at 3:30 in the morning. Had a good day. I was just an adrenaline junkie. I was just like so excited because we had a victory. And then all week I've just been buzzing. Couldn't wait to talk about the game as well. Really good victory. Really important 3 points.
Yeah, it was very, very satisfying, I must say. Just give people a bit of context. So for me, that would be at 1:30 a.m. kickoff Saturday night, Sunday morning. For Tess, for yourself?
3:30 a.m.
Yeah, so big bit of dedication. and then off to the water park with the kids after, Tessa.
Straight afterwards, pretty much, well, actually, tell a lie, I got like about half an hour sleep after. Then I was up in the shower getting ready and we were preparing to go down to Wet and Wild and spend the day with the kids and be wet and wild, really.
Like I've said many times, especially for some of our UK viewers that maybe haven't been here, but like I've said many times in this podcast that supporting Aston Villa in Australia is very much like having a newborn child in the house every week for 38 weeks every year, because that's the random times you have to get up and watch games. But the last couple of years, it's been much more enjoyable getting up in the hours, especially since Emery's come in there. Tess, we're going to start obviously with a very, 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 very important 3 points against Chelsea at the weekend. Saturday night. We're going to start with the lineup, Tess. What did you make of it at the beginning when the lineup was first announced?
Yeah, really good. I did think I thought Rashford was going to be starting again, but he went with Ramsey, didn't he? Defensively, really pleased to see Konza in there. Really need him for really important games. Esri Konsa, he's a centre back, and we really, really need him. Didn't really enjoy it too much when he was playing as a right back, apart from that game where I think he might have scored a goal or something like that. But other than that, really good to have him at centre back. Matty Cash back on the right hand side, and surprised Luca Dean didn't play. To be honest, I thought he was going to come back into the side, but I think when you're going against Pedro Neto and the pace that he's got, I think maybe the decision to have Maatsen play was warranted. Even though we'll discuss their goal and Maatsen a bit later on, but yeah, I thought the lineup was pretty good. Yeah, I had no complaints. Expected a strong lineup against Chelsea, and it's 3 points we badly needed. So Emery made the right choice, in my opinion.
We started a very busy week with 3 home fixtures. There was home to Ipswich, home to Liverpool, and home to Chelsea. Kind of started that. A lot of people are down the dumps. It was with the 1-1 draw against Ipswich was probably the game that we expected to win. We didn't. We got a very respectable draw against Liverpool and a great win against Chelsea, which was 5 points from those 3 games. And when you look back and now and you take it in its isolation, it's a really good 5 points overall, because had it been the other way around and we had beaten Ipswich, drawn with Liverpool, drawn with Chelsea, we'd have been very happy with that. So now that gives me a bit more perspective looking back now, and it's probably more important that we got the win against Chelsea because we reeled them in a little bit too, because that stops them from getting points as well. So it was a huge win. With the lineup, Ramsey coming back in. I actually thought Rashford was going to start myself as well. I really did. But I just think that Maatsen's probably starting, and Rhino touched off it on a recent podcast there where he kind of expects Maatsen now to start getting a few more minutes here and there and a few more starts. That Dina's obviously had to play a lot of the games up to now, and we're coming into the business end of the season where, well, things are on the line. We're knockout to Champions League, we're in the FA Cup knockout, like the later stage of FA Cups, and we've got in the running for the top 4. So at some point he needs to be able to give Luca Dean a rest at a game's notice. But to do that, you also need Ian Maatsen up to speed. So yeah, Rhino made that point a few weeks ago that he expects to see Maatsen start a lot more than he did in the first half of the season, which is, I think, is a valid point. And your point there about bringing him in to come up against Pedro Neto, it makes sense. Although personally, of the two, I'm still more inclined to think that
Luka.
Digne be the better offender, but Mattson offered so much going forward too. So I don't think it's going to be one size fits all. I think Luka Digne is still first choice left back, but I think there will certainly be more games where Mattson starts to come in now. But I think when it comes to the biggest games, I do imagine Luka Digne will still be left back.
Yeah, with experience as well. And look, we have to utilise the squad that we've got, and we have to give players minutes. And I felt like earlier on in the season, we were playing with the same players most of the time, and a lot of the other players were getting small amounts of minutes, but weren't getting a lot of minutes. And we're going to need all these players to be up to speed. And if they're not playing minutes, then it's going to be really difficult for them to adjust and get some cohesion within the team, within the structure that we're playing in. So really, and I think Mattson's the future, isn't he? He's the future left back. Not to say that Luka Digne's leaving at the end of the season, but it's a possibility. And Mattson's a bit younger, a lot more pace, and he's learning his role. So I think we have to start giving him minutes and get him to start games. I was just surprised a little bit, just that it was Chelsea and it was such an important game. But again, I refer back to what I said before: is you've got Pedro Neto's whip it, isn't he? He's like super fast and very creative, gets a lot of assists. And so I thought, a good decision to put Mattson in and give him that run out and give him that experience against a really good side.
One thing about the lineup I think surprised me was I thought Malen would start this game. To be honest, I thought he'd earned the start. He's very vibrant coming off the bench. In the last game against Liverpool too, I thought he was very good for the 20 minutes he was on, and probably could have warranted a start. I thought over, thankfully he didn't in the end, but over the course of the game against Liverpool, I actually thought Malen probably had justified a start more than Asensio did going on the basis of that game. But that's why we always say that Emery's sitting there and I'm sitting here. But I kind of like having Malen coming off the bench there really offers something different, which I'm sure we'll get onto in the second half. But I think most of all, I think it was pretty much as you go, apart from I did expect Ramsey to probably drop out for Rashford. But obviously Rashford's not quite. Obviously, Emery doesn't feel Rashford's ready to carry the minutes just yet. And it'll probably be unfair on Ramsey too to drop him straight out of it, because he hasn't done a whole pile wrong, really. You know what I mean? They want to lose his places.
No, he hasn't, and he's done really well. I think from my perspective, when I looked at it, Asensio we're not seeing him in training and what he's doing in training, but there was something that Emery kept saying after the game. I think it was against Liverpool as well. He said he wants these players to fit in with the structure, but he wants them to use their skills. Now, we've got players who have been playing that structure and doing really well, but we haven't really had a player who's got that little bit of flair, really, have we? Rodgers has done okay. Ramsey in spells and McGinn in spells and stuff, and Leon Bailey's been off it, and he's one of our flair players. But Asensio, when he plays, he does offer that bit of skill, and Rashford, they all offer a bit more skill and a bit more know-how in these types of games. And I think what Emery's trying to do is get these players in. He's brought them in for a purpose, not only to fit in with his structure and players who understand the game, but to use that little bit of flair and a bit of skill and that little bit of know-how. And Asensio offers that. And he must be seeing that in training to give him the start.
Well, you don't play nearly 300 games for Real Madrid without having something about you. He's played I checked it up recently there. I think he's 286 appearances for Real Madrid's first team. It's phenomenal.
What's that saying? They say form is temporary and class is permanent, or something like that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I found it very interesting in his post-match interview. They asked him about the speed of the Premier League, and he to compare it to La Liga, or not to La Liga. They asked about France, and he was just like, "Yes, it's very different." So obviously, he said all the teams in the league compete in this league. So I've heard Mark Meszaros say that before. The difference between England and Germany was at 2-0 down, the game isn't over. Whereas he's in Germany, the lower teams, once you put two past them, that's kind of game over. That's the mentality when you're playing for a Bayern or a Dortmund or whatever. I think the game started and there was really only one team that got going, and that was Chelsea. I thought they were really good, to be honest, for the first 20-25 minutes. Chalobah obviously went off injured after 8 minutes, and very quickly after that, Pedro Neto left Mattson for dust. Really, he got past him with ease. But to be fair, ball into the box, and look, there's any number of those defenders you could blame for that goal. Martinez, I don't know. it's hard to blame who's at fault. There's a miscommunication somewhere along the line. It was a good goal from a Chelsea perspective. It was a bad goal from our point of view. I thought defensively, I think there was just so many mistakes that happened along the way. But look, that's been us. We've been slow starters. But the fact that we've got 18 points from losing positions kind of gives you confidence. I mean, it's not like years ago when we go 1-0 down, you're like, well, that's it.
I'm going to bed.
But, like we're always in this game. This team has always got a goal in them. Kind of probably 20, 25 minutes, the momentum started to shift. Now, to be fair, I thought Chelsea could have and should have been out of sight after 20 minutes, if we're honest. But we just couldn't get the grips with the game at all. Caicedo was running it in the middle. And then we kind of started slowly gaining a bit of momentum. For you, who kind of started to make that shift happen? Where did you start to see the momentum shift kind of come from?
Well, as I said to you before, I missed the first 10, 15 minutes because I woke up late. So, but when Yuri Tillemans and McGinn started to get in on the ball a bit more, trying to keep possession of the ball a little bit more, and really trying to impose their style on the game. I saw that Emery was on the side and he looked like he was absolutely furious. Like I saw on the pictures that he's barking orders at people and gesturing and waving. So something was happening there. And I think he was probably just saying to them, hey, like we need to get on the ball a bit more, keep the ball when you get the ball, make sure you're holding it a little bit more. And I felt like John McGinn and Yuri Tillemans were really trying to do that in the midfield and press high as well. And give us a few opportunities against them, especially I think Reece James tried to attack Reece James and press him a lot more when he was on the ball. So I felt like that was a moment where we started to string passes together and play in our style. I felt like this is how we normally play. This is how we should be playing. And it just took them a long while to get into it. Yeah,
and definitely. And I think, though, Reece James playing midfield, I thought it was a very strange move from Maresca anyway. Like, he's a quality footballer. It's not about his ability, but he's just coming back from a long injury layoff. He played 90 minutes. He was very ineffective. He wasn't really helping Caicedo in there at all. I didn't think he had any effect on the game at all. But what was killing us was the crossfield balls. Like, we couldn't get the grip with it. They were just, like, it was obviously a tactic Chelsea had come with. It was a weakness that, look, every Villa fan knows we have it. Every Villa player knows it. Every Villa coach knows it. Like, it's our biggest Achilles heel is those diagonal balls over the top. Pedro Neto's a handful. And that there was a lot that we had to get to grips with. But once we kind of did start to settle, we finally started getting Matty Cash a little bit further up the pitch. As you said yourself, McGinn and Tillemans started to get a handle on the game. Created a really good opening for Ollie Watkins after 18, 19 minutes. It's a good save by the keeper. And that was the kind of first real positive kind of move of the game for us. And I would say from there till half time, it was pretty even. Like, I think Chelsea dominated the first 20, 25 minutes. I think it was pretty even. It's kind of swaying a bit both ways till half time. Got to half time then. And for me, this was a significant change for many reasons. Like, and I don't think it's any reflection on Ramsey. But obviously we made the change for Ramsey to come off and Rashford to come on. Straight swap, same position. Two very different players. At that time, I thought it was the right move, the perfect move, because for two reasons. I thought Gusto was getting way too far up the pitch with Ramsey. Ramsey sits that a little bit deeper, likes to come inside a little bit. I think we were showing far too much grass to Gusto, and he's good. He offers a threat getting up and down the wings. Rashford came in, hugs that touchline, stays very high up. Gusto just can't go forward at anywhere near the same level of regularity that he was in the first half. So that was the first tactical thing I thought made a big difference. So straight away that nullified something. That's nullified a threat for them. And then we had Rodgers, who suddenly started dropping into the midfield to give McGinn, and he was dropping in and out of midfield to give McGinn and Tillemans a hand. And suddenly the pendulum just swung and we just started overrunning in the middle. Yuri Tillemans was just on a different level with his ability, finding space where there shouldn't be any space. McGinn just gives you what he does, his industry and stuff, but Tillemans' ability to find space. And suddenly Caicedo went from running the game to having absolutely no influence whatsoever.
Yeah.
And this for me, like, I'm not going to start bashing Chelsea here. Like they're obviously, look, they do what they do. They're a very young team, and they're lacking some serious experienced players to go along with those players. But Maresca, for me, is kind of getting found out a little bit because he had no answer to that. And like Emery made 2 tactical tweaks, 1 personnel change, 2 tactical tweaks. Probably a lot of things that I didn't pick on as well, but they were very evident of what he had done at the start of that second half with Rodgers and Rashford. And he didn't respond whatsoever, and at all. Like, he did nothing to change it, and they were getting further. Now, don't get me wrong; they still offered a threat on the break. That didn't leave them. They looked very unfit to me, and it was just really good. I don't know. I thought Villa were excellent in that second half, and we just cut out any of the threats that Chelsea had offered, and they started playing long balls. Don't get me wrong; if Cole Palmer had been on it like he was 2 months ago, it could have been a different game. He had two great chances there. He gobbles them up 2 months ago. It's a different story then. But you can only play what you've been given. And I thought Emery's tactical tweaks was excellent. And it just goes to show the difference we have now, being able to bring a Rashford off the bench and not just change the player, but completely different style.
Yeah.
Like Ramsey's going off for games where you're narrow. So our front 3 in the first half were very narrow. Then suddenly you're bringing Rashford on half time, you're bringing Malen on after, you're bringing Bailey on. Suddenly that narrow front 3 becomes this really wide front 3 and gives them something totally different to think about.
They
and
have a lot to think about. Yeah.
It's really good, and it's just such a positive boost going forward from here on in. If that's going to be the level of ability that we haven't seen Emery last season. We've seen him do it many times. These big changes in game. He hasn't done it much the first half of the season, which only leads me to kind of believe, obviously, injuries are a thing, but he doesn't seem to have trusted fully the team he had at the first half of the season, that he could go out and play expansive. Because he's already showing straight away that he is willing to open that up and make that pitch nice and big if things aren't going well with the narrow players. I don't know what you think about, because I thought Bailey came on at the right time. I thought Rashford, even though I didn't think Bailey'd be the one coming on at that point, I genuinely thought it would be, because it looked like Malen wasn't going to come on, but then Rodgers started hobbling. So that might have even been a forced move. But Bailey was coming on, but I thought Malen was definitely going to be the change at that moment. So to see Bailey come on and just hug that touchline, I thought it was just very clever from Emery. What was your thoughts on it, Over?
Yeah, I I think when I go back and I look at the first part of the game, you had players that weren't playing in certain positions, and I think that might have, I don't know, but might have thrown the way that the players set themselves up to play. They weren't really expecting the lineup, the sort of formation in which the Chelsea players were playing, and that might have thrown them off a little bit. They would have had a job and were expecting Chelsea to play a particular way, and they've mixed it up a little bit, which might have thrown the way who's got who and who's got who. And I put that, when I looked at it, I was like, oh, maybe that's part of the reason. Maybe they just had their jobs to do, and all of a sudden they're not having those particular players around them who they're meant to be marking or who they're going to be pressing or whatever it is, and let's kind of throw them off guard a little bit. That's what I put down to what that poor start was. But when he made the changes at halftime, when he brought Rashford on at halftime, I was like, oh, all right, he's taken Ramsey off because he wants to go a bit more direct. That was my first thought. He wants to go a bit more direct, and he wants to play wider, and he wants Rashford to come on and just run at their defence, use his skill and try to create opportunities. And that's what he came on and did, didn't he? He came on. And also Rashford is not just doing that forward chasing, he's also running back. Like he's working really, really hard. Like you watch him and you can see when things haven't quite come off that they've been trying to do. He's smiling, his face is smiling, like he's enjoying playing football again. That's what I'm seeing. And if somebody's enjoying playing football, they're going to be creative. He's going to, like he was, and he's just going to attack, and he's going to attack, and he was just trying to drag players in alongside him when he was going forward on the left. So that was a really, really good move. I was a little bit disappointed. I'm not going to lie. Like I love Ramsey, and I think he did okay. I thought he did okay. But in this particular game, Emery must have saw something and said, right, if we want to win this game, we're going to have to do something a little bit different. And so he made that change, and it paid off, didn't it? It paid off big time. So, that was really, really good to see. Really, really good to see.
Look, Ramsey, I do feel a little bit sorry for him, but look, there's just absolutely no more room for sentiment. Like all these lads have played the first half of the season and we were inconsistent, and if you're going to bring people in of this kind of level, Rashford and Asensio, particularly Asensio, who's someone who is like, he's won 3 Champions Leagues, he's won 16, I think it is, major honours with Real Madrid. Like these are top level players who have played in the top competitions, in the finals of big competitions. Rashford as well has won a lot of FA Cups. You've got a player like Ramsey who's broke into the team, who's really, really good, like, but he can get better, like. So, yeah. But Emery is showing Ramsey, like, it's not okay. It can't be won in every 3 games. It can't be won every 2. Like, this is the level. If you want to play in my team, our club is moving forward. It's up to you to move forward with us, or you get left behind. Just like Tyrone Mings and McGinn constantly up their game from the championship, kept going. Eventually, the team's going to surpass them as well. That's just the reality of it. Whereas Ramsey's young enough that he can, as opposed to it's surpassing him, he can grow with it. But this is going to be the level of player we're going to be attracting now if we're going to be regularly in the Champions League. Emery said it himself. He hasn't come here to mess around. And I think this is going to be the most important period of Ramsey's Villa career, because since he's broke into the team, he's really been able to play anytime he hits any kind of form. He starts. And not a lot of young players around the country have that. So this could be the most important part of his growth, of whether he's going to become a good player or is he going to be a great player. And I think this is it. This is Ramsey's time now to grow with the team, you know.
I think he's going to learn. He's going to learn a lot from these players, because these players have been around and done it on the big stage for a lot of years. And sometimes, things don't work out at other clubs, and then you go to somewhere else and you can sort of revitalise your career. And this is what will happen. But for people like JJ, I think he's going to learn so much from people like Rashford, so much from people like Marco Asensio, who've been there and done it. And it will only help him improve his game. When he came back and we brought the loan signings in, he's come in and he's played a game and he started having like really, really strong performances. And that's because there's competition there now for places. He knows that he's got to perform every week, or whenever he gets his opportunity, he's got to play to his best level, because that's how you become the best. And I think he can do it. I love Ramsey. I think he should. I hope he doesn't go anywhere, but I hope he's going to learn from these players and continue to grow as a player, because we're going to really need people like him.
Yeah. I think, as I said, I do agree with you, and I do think this is a very, very important section of his Villa career, because now is his time. Now is his time to shine. And everyone wants a local boy in the team, but this is the level. This is how we're going to push on. Like, nobody should be guaranteed their place. Like, and if you're sitting there and you're Jacob, and actually, I don't think this game was anything to do with his fault at all. Like, I think this was just pure tactical decision. I think Emery knew he was going to do this from the beginning, where he was going to start with a narrow tree and then finish with a wide tree, and that's what we can do now, which is something that we just haven't been able to. And it's the same for Rodgers. Rodgers has had the freedom of the number 10 role for probably the last 18 months now, definitely 12 months since AJ got injured. Since he broke in last January. So what, 12 months? Maybe from April on, he was the number 10. He was going to be the number 10 no matter what when Dia was out injured. No, he's not guaranteed either. So he's going to have to be adding that in product on a regular basis, or Asensio is going to take his place. This is huge for them lads, and it helps us. So it's really good. Even though,
go on. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, even though I disagree with Rodgers having to play out in the right, because I think you're taking so much of his game. But if it means a couple of months of doing that to show him the level they want from a number 10, the finishing product, then it's a benefit. As obviously we've got enough players that can offer that width when Rodgers does move back into the number 10. I just don't think he offers enough width for me. When they have Ramsey and Rodgers on the right and left together, it's very, very narrow. Like, both of them players want to come in. So there's obviously a bit of method to his madness, though, Emery.
But the good thing about Rodgers is he wants to learn. Every time you hear him speak in the after-match podcast on Villa TV, and you hear him doing an interview, he describes himself and says, look, I want to be a sponge. I want to learn from all these players. I used to watch people like Rashford when I was growing up, and he wants to learn from these players. And every time I see him play, he's learning something new or growing as a player, and he's going to continue to grow. I do think he was a little bit kind of wasted when he's playing wide, because I like watching him in the middle of the park and trying to drive forward and stuff, and use his qualities. But again, you've got somebody who's a top level player that can play in that position, top level player. And so it's good for him that he's still going to be playing and involved in the games, but you're going to have to learn from people like Asensio, because it's not 100 miles an hour all game. Sometimes you just have to be intelligent about what you're playing, your positioning and all that sort of stuff. And Asensio was showing that when he was playing against Chelsea just the other day.
Rodgers embracing it too, because he was one of the first over to, because obviously he was subbed off with the dead leg. He's one of the first over to give Asensio a hug at the full time whistle. Like, so they're embracing these lads being there, like, and that's what you have to do when you're a young player. Like,
Yeah.
It's not Rodgers and Ramsey that I'd be worried about. Like, you know, I think the likes of Bailey and them, they're the ones that are going to be really worried about their place going forward. But anyway, that's a problem for the summer. But
so, what do you think of Ollie's performance in the game?
Bailey.
Ollie Watkins. What did you think of his performance in the game?
Oh, I thought he was very good from an off the ball perspective. I thought he gave a lot for the team personally. Like, I don't think he's seen much of the ball, but he was given a task. I think he was given a task of creating space for Rashford, Asensio, and Rodgers to run into, particularly in that second half early doors. So it's one of those games where only his teammates and his manager will appreciate what he did in the game, not the fans. You know what I mean?
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you know what I mean, though. It's like it's not obvious what he's doing, but that's the thing about Ollie. Like, he's there for the team. There's not a lot of strikers will happily give up, sacrifice themselves for the rest of the team. You know.
He had three opportunities, 2.5 opportunities to score a goal. My problem with Watkins is if he has an opportunity in a good area to score a goal and he fluffs the lines. But if he's making the goalkeeper work, I'm happy with that. Do you know what I mean? Like, if he's getting an opportunity and then he can make the keeper work to make a save or something, I'm happy with that. The only time I'm really frustrated is if there's opportunities where he should be scoring goals and he's completely fluffing the lines, and that's when I'm a bit frustrated. But he had a couple of opportunities, he made the keeper work, and then there was that third opportunity where the ball came in and he can't really slide in and get there with his left foot, didn't quite make it. So that was kind of like a half chance, if you like. So you can't get down on that. But all the other work that Ollie does, really, really good for me. Like, I really like watching him drag players around the place, his energy, his closing down, you know, all that sort of stuff. So I think he still had a really good game as well, Ollie.
I'd comfortably say, like, I'd happily, easily have no problem throwing $100 on Watkins to score 10 league goals the rest of the season now. Because, like, for us, obviously, we know Watkins is at his best when he doesn't really have to think about what, like, one-on-ones and stuff. He's not been great at this season, but he's still got a lot of goals. But you have to remember, like, we weren't offering a lot of threat either. So it was pretty easy for him to be marked out of the game for the majority. But now when you have players like Rashford, Asensio, it drags the level of everyone up. But suddenly you look at Liverpool the other day, they couldn't just worry about Ollie Watkins and then he finds some space. But he wasn't finding space like that in previous games, because all they had to do was cut out Ollie Watkins and you were cutting out 70% of our attacking threat. That's not the case anymore. So Watkins is going to benefit by having Asensio and Rashford in the team too, and Rodgers, because he's going to start to find more space in the box, you know. So I think he'll score 10, maybe not league goals, but he'll definitely score another 10 goals the rest of the season in all competitions, I think.
Yeah. So what about the goal? The first goal. Let's talk about the first goal. Your thoughts on the first goal?
My thoughts on the first goal is I wish I could just put petrol to the VAR, the whole system. Get rid of it. It's ruining football. It's an absolute joke. Like, they asked Asensio about it after, and he was like, "No, sure, I knew I was onside. Sure, Rashford told me he wasn't off. Like, just can't celebrate. Like, it's a joke. It's ruining football, man. I hate it. 3 minutes and 23 seconds to decide that the goal stood. How is it taking that long?
There's no way.
It's ridiculous. It's almost like they're doing everything they can to find a reason not to give that goal, but they just can't find it. It's a joke. Like, as a spectacle, it's ruining football. Like, look, we're sitting in the front room. Like, that's not bad. I mean, I've been there. I was at the Villa Liverpool game in May, and there was 3 different offside moments with VAR, right? I think it was 2 for Liverpool, 1 for Villa, right? Like, you don't know what's going on in the stadium. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, and then they hear in the TV before we do in the stadium, let's say. So I was sitting in the upper Trinity, right, in A2, and I was directly across the way on the opposite side of the pitch where the Liverpool away fans were, right? But there's TV screens in the box behind that. The Liverpool fans knew from watching the TVs in the box behind them before the rest of us knew in the stadium. So we'd hear their cheer, so we'd know then whether the goal was going to stand or not. So the TV is finding out before people in the stadium. It's ridiculous, man. Three minutes, 23 seconds to decide if the goal is offside or not. How is it then? How long? How many lines do you have to draw?
I watched the goal and I didn't think it was offside in real time.
Yeah.
I thought Rashford made that run the perfect time. And I didn't understand why they were disputing the goal for that long. Like, and even when you watch the first part of the replay, I was just like, what is there to look at? There's nothing else to look at. Like, he's onside, and then all of a sudden there's all these, they're freezing framing the goal in different areas which have got nothing to do with the offside like decision. It was not offside, and it was a perfectly good goal. There was no handballs, there was no nothing like that. It was a perfectly good goal, and I just didn't understand why it took 3 minutes. And also, bad decision and bad positioning from the lino. Like, the lino should never have been waving that. I don't know how he was standing. I've got to watch it back. But if he was in line with the play, then he would never have called that offside. So that was a bad decision from him, and also a pretty poor performance from VAR. Sometimes they are just ruining the spectacle for people because 3 minutes is a long time in a football match for supporters and everybody else to be standing around waiting for someone to sit in a room and make a decision on something that was pretty clear after probably about 1 minute, you know.
You know what it is for me though? Like, do you know what it's ruining the most for me is, you know, that moment after you score as a team, it doesn't matter whether you're playing amateur football, whether it's top level Champions League football, whether it's Sunday League, it doesn't matter. That couple of minutes after you score a goal, there's such momentum shift in the game that's it. Like, everybody gets a lift and you start pushing again. If you're standing around for 3 minutes waiting for that decision, that kills the momentum that you get from scoring the goal. And you have to start afresh again. And I don't like that, because football should all be about momentum. That buzz you get, grab the ball, run back, put it onto the spot, go again, and suddenly the other team are unsure of themselves, and the attacking team that have just scored, they're lift up. It loses all that. And that's not just for Villa. I'm talking about, you know how much football I watch, man. I watch loads of games. And it's just killing. And it's just, I don't like it. And I was very against it at the start. I thought the goal line technology was very important to bring in, because I think that's clear cut. You can't, like, you know, like, there's no messing around with that. And there's, like, I don't know, like, VAR isn't leaving, and I don't want to turn this into a whole VAR podcast, because that's just we don't do it. Like, we don't do that so much, but like, it's ridiculous. It's getting beyond the joke, and I don't like it. And I don't know, VAR isn't going away. They're going to have to do something. Like, VAR isn't the problem. Obviously, it's the idiots running it, but like, there has to be a shot clock or something, that if there's not a decision in 30 seconds and it's decided that it's not clear and obvious error, and you move on with the on-field decision, whether that's right or wrong, that's what you should move on with, because this 3 minutes 23 seconds is crap.
It was a joke.
And it's not just happening in Villa games, and it's happening. I've watched games over this weekend. Then we're going to get on penalty, and we're going to get on to James Wood's comment here. He said, "Don't get me started on that pen. We're talking about it now. We may as well discuss it now." James, you're 100% right. How's that not a penalty? Like, how is, like, and he's completely stopped him making any motion to get the ball to score a goal. Like, if that, like, there's a video.
That was a disgrace. I'm sorry, but that was
Cucurella has both his arms wrapped around one hand. Like, now, usually you get a bit of mix from both sides the next day. Like, I think the vast majority of the footballing fraternity, community, whatever you want to call them, are pretty in agreement that that's a penalty. Like, what's the yardstick for a penalty? Like, if that's anywhere else in the pitch, you're giving a free. Like, Bogard doesn't even, like, Ashley Young's one, right? It's a penalty. But Ashley Young does make a meal of it. He still should get his penalty. He probably feels if he doesn't make a meal of it, he won't get it, right? But doesn't get it anyway. Like Bogart doesn't even dive. He literally couldn't get to the ball. Like, and it didn't cost us, but it could have easily cost us in the end. And it's just, what's VAR doing? Like, they don't even show the keeper. Like, they need to tell the referee there, that's a penalty. That we have it here. We've got 4 angles. He goes to kick the ball. He gets pulled down by the hand. He can't even reach the ball. It's a penalty.
It was borderline assault, Cucurella on Bogard for sure, giving him the reach arounds and all that kind of stuff. That was full assault. Like, I was just like, what? I don't know how they sat in that room and made that bad decision. You know, really, really bad decision. And definitely assault for me. I was just like, get my hands off my players. Like, but just back to the goal, just a second there. I thought Rashford in that motion did a really good job to because he was going right near the touchline, wasn't he? And just to be able to knock the ball in the path of Asensio was really, really nice, clever. On that moment, if you're not sharp, you're not doing that. But he was sharp as and saw the player and put it straight into Asensio, who scrambled it over the line. But goal's a goal for me. It was just really, really good.
I want to give Matty Cashew's credit here as well, because that's a phenomenal ball. It's a packed box, and he spots Rashford's run, and I think Rashford knew exactly what he was going to do. That ball was going to be put back across the centre anyway. But then the centre half got a toe to it. So Rashford actually has to readjust his body movement as well to get the ball across. And then the ball kind of even goes behind Asensio. So yes, it was a bit of a scrambly goal, but it's actually impressive how he maneuvered his body to twist onto the ball that was going behind him as well. So it was
Matty Cash on that left foot of his these days. Hey, Matty Cash is he must be practicing that, because it's not the first time this season where he's got his left foot and whipped a ball in. Really good ball in. That was a great ball with his left foot. And
it was a goal we deserved. There's absolutely no question about it. That's you make 1-1, you go on, then you get a good shove for a penalty. You move on in the game then, and you're kind of thinking, well, that was it. We didn't get what we deserved, But they kept going, and that's the thing. No, as I said, Chelsea were still offering a little threat on the break, but that's all they were offering at that point was a threat on the break. They weren't playing through us. We were playing through them at will. By this point, Caicedo couldn't get near McGinn or Tielemans at all.
No,
we had complete control of that area of the pitch, and when you have as much forward players as we have. When you have control, because games are won and lost in the midfield really at this level, and then when you have, it must have been really disheartening for Chelsea to say that they had a bit of control in the middle. Not only did they lose all control in the middle, they suddenly had 3 wide, quick players just running at them, and that's really good, and that's what's going to take us on a level. But it just looked like it wasn't going to come, did it? The goal, and but it did come, Tess. And do you want to talk us through the goal? Because at this moment, I just nearly screamed the house down.
Yeah. Oh, I was kind of watching, and as I said, I was half watching the goal, and then to see Rashford again, just really clever on that wide side, coming in and putting the ball in. And again, I thought this was like a kind of scuffed kind of shot. On target, but we were in the ascendancy, and a big mistake from the goalkeeper. I think the goalkeeper should have been saving that. I think the goalkeeper should have been saving that. But all you can ask for is that the players get the shot on target, and he just wasn't expecting it. And it was a first time hit, and it's gone underneath the goalkeeper, and another great finish from Asensio, because he just seemed like he was growing into the game at that later stage when the game was open wide, and he was just growing into the game, and so was Rashford. Really, really good, really, really good goal, and really enjoyed seeing how attacking that Marcus Rashford was on that left side. Just, I'm watching, and I'm kind of in awe a little bit, because I'm still trying to get used to seeing players like Marco Asensio and Marcus Rashford wearing that claret and blue shirt. And if you love football, these are, again, we've said it earlier on in the podcast, but these are top class players, and they're playing for us at the moment, and they're starting to show their qualities. I thought it was a really, really good goal. I thought we deserved to goal, because I felt like we were the stronger team going towards the end, in my opinion. What did you think?
Oh, that second half, there was only one team going to win it. Well, on merit, one team was going to win it. But as I said, I do keep saying Chelsea did offer that little threat on the break. So there was times of that game where it looked like we mightn't get what we deserved out of it, and Chelsea might even sneak one up the other end, because especially that one where Palmer was through 1-on-1 and Emmy slipped. And when I seen Emmy slip, I was like, oh no, it's just Palmer 2 months ago, but they just lifted that over him, Palmer's not playing with the same kind of swagger as he was either. He's having a little patch himself. Brilliant reading from Ezri Konsa to get back and cover the goal. Just brilliant, and that was the moment that I thought, you know what, it's going to happen for us. I just want to talk about that second goal. Very clever from I think it was Tielemans and Rashford. They drew Palmer out, he makes a feeble attempt to block the cross, really. But it's obviously something they've worked on, because Asensio, as soon as Tillemans received the ball from the first pass, you've seen the video, Asensio just does a kind of cheats his run and makes the loop around. So it's obviously something that they've worked on. And lovely little pick up from Rashford, as you said yourself. It probably wasn't the cleanest of strikes, but that's all you got to do in a pack box like that, is just get something on it. And I think poor old Philippe Jorgensen will be having nightmares, because he's been chasing that start from Sanchez's mistakes for a long time. So now, Chelsea will have to go back to the drawing board, maybe buy another 6 or 7 keepers for themselves.
Yeah, spend another 250 million or something. I'm from that area, right, where Chelsea is. My mum's house is like less than 500 meters away from Stamford Bridge. I grew up around that area, and I was never like Chelsea. And every time we beat Chelsea, I love that win. Sometimes when a team plays a team and you're like, yeah, I just want to get one over them. Mine has always been Chelsea, no matter what. Always like to beat Chelsea for some reason. Just never really enjoyed them as a football club. Yeah, I lost you as well.
Just last test. Have you back? Yeah. You're back now. Yeah. Sorry, you just froze.
Yeah. Chelsea. I'm from that area, and I was just saying they're one of the teams that I just love beating all the time. I think I went to a game one time, and we were playing in Villa Park against Chelsea, and I can't remember the year. And Mourinho was the manager, and I think we won the game. I think Zach Knight. Oh my God, that's the name. Zach Knight bullet header. In that game, I think we won that game, and then Mourinho got the sack after that game, or soon after that game, or something like that. Yeah. But for some reason, I love the win against Chelsea is a great thing for me.
Yeah, that's me and Man United as well, but they're very rare. Just before we move on to the Palace game, Tess, we'll just have a quick look at a few of the comments, because we've a few of our regulars in there again. Big shout out to James Wood and Mark Smith. Thanks again, guys. Always jumping in with your comments, and we love having you guys on. And if you want to touch off Mark's point there, he said with these two players, with Mal and Disasi too, have taken our squad to another level. I think absolutely 100% this January business has been really, really good. We've kind of started PSR a little bit with the Duran move, got rid of a player that for a top price that can't really affect us in a different league, can't come back to bite us for a while anyway. Probably end up rocking up a free transfer to Newcastle or Chelsea in the summer, but we'll worry about that then. But great business moving him on, a player that doesn't want to be there regardless of his talent. There's no point in keeping someone that doesn't want to be here. We've got a big price for him. Brought Garcia in, who finally we can probably give Matty Cash a rest without having to put Konza right back, which is obviously a huge positive. He looks a great find, Garcia. I say fine, but obviously Emery and Monchi have had an eye on him for a long time. Obviously, we know what Rashford and Asensio are doing, but Malin is the one player we bought, and I've been very, very impressed with him. How's your look? You signed
I just want him to score a goal. I just really want him to score a goal, because I love it when he comes on. He's just full of energy and quick, and he likes to have a shot on target. He likes to have a shot. I really want him to score a goal. Hey, I know he scored one and that was disallowed, but I really want him to score a goal, and the fans to go mad, because he is making an effect when he comes on. He is making a difference when he comes on. It would just be nice for him to get that first goal, just to settle him in nicely, and the fans can go nuts and support him a little bit more. And I'm pretty sure we've got a lot more of him to come for the rest of this season, and especially in the league, and next season as well.
He looks like a good addition to the dressing room. He looks he looks like a good teammate, not even just from what he offers on the pitch, but he's one of the first to celebrate all the goals, one of the first to run over to the players. And let's be honest, if there was ever a man that had a reason to be bitter, it's probably him, but he's not, thankfully. So, how's your look though? You signed for a new club, you're ready for the Champions League. You're almost guaranteed to start with this team, and then a couple of days later, they bring in Asensio and Rashford, two players that play in your position. But hey, that's how things are. But I'm sure we'll see the best of him next season as well. But no, great addition.
Bailey's cameo. Bailey came on, and just quickly, we'll talk about just Leon Bailey came on and looked fresh, looked fast again, didn't he? It looked like he was up for a few minutes to play, get some minutes into his system and stuff. And he came on and tried to use his skill, use his pace. He looked pretty quick and looked like he was really up for it. So I think he's one of those players that I've been really disappointed in this whole season. And how long did he get? 20 minutes? Maybe 15, 20 minutes? I thought he did all right when he came on, and we just need to see more of that. And I think he's now that he should go back to being that impact player again, where he comes off the bench to try and make a difference. Because when we brought in DRB and stuff, that's what he ended up doing, didn't he? He started coming on as a sub and making a big impact, and he started to get goals. And I think that's the way forward for him at the moment. I think if we can get him in and playing 20 minutes, half an hour into games in the second half, I think if he can keep that consistency, he's going to be really vital for us, and especially coming up with the Champions League games because he's registered to play, isn't he? So, we might need some of that quality, especially when we're playing in the Champions League games and in the FA Cup and stuff. So, hopefully, he can get some consistency because in there's a decent player, man. He's a really decent player. He's got some good skills. He can score goals. He can assist. He's learned to use his right foot a bit as well. Just hoping that that cameo can make him kick on now and do well for the team for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's absolutely the great point there. But when Diaby came in and he kind of got instead of starting games, he got to come on a bit later in the games when teams are tiring, and it almost just fired him into confidence. He started scoring goals, and soon he was taking Diaby's place off him. So that's the kind of fight you want to see, and maybe let's hope we see much of the same this season, because you want our players to kind of try and step up and take the lone players' positions. Do you want our players to try and take their places back? That's how this is meant to work, So I think Bailey. I think we'll see Bailey probably start in the FA Cup game, but I'm sure yourself and Ryan will cover that on Wednesday. But I think we'll see a bit of Bailey now, and hopefully we see the Bailey we seen today. To be fair to the majority last season, probably from September, October onwards. So he'll obviously be a quality addition. Right, we'll move on to Palace. Games are coming ticking fast. Thanks
to the Premier League for helping us have lots of games in a short space of time. Cheers, buddies.
Great from a spectator point of view, though. Probably not great for the fans' point of view, Pocket in Birmingham, but that's for another day. But this is the beginning of a very, very important 10-day period for us, where we have Palace Tuesday in the league. We go on to Cardiff Friday night in the FA Cup, and then we have Club Brugge away in the Champions League the following Tuesday. 7 days actually, so it's a 7-day period. Massive implications for the season, really. This is kind of, you come out after this week, you're going to kind of have a good idea where our season's heading. Palace have been very good recently, Tess. So do you want to talk through a little bit about what you expect from this game?
Yeah, I think it's one of the midweek games. Never look forward to midweek games. For some reason, I don't know, I feel like they're never really exciting. Both teams are just trying to get through the week. They haven't had much of a break. Palace are a really good side, and you got Mateta, who's obviously their key man and scoring goals for fun at the moment. And it's going to be a tough game, I think. Is it home or away?
We're away. We're down South Park.
Oh gosh,
not been a happy hunting ground for us over the last few years.
Gosh, yeah. I was hoping it would be at home, actually, to be honest. Playing away at Selhurst Park is always going to be difficult. They've got some really good players, I think. Eberechi Eze is back as well, playing for the side. And they've been able to scrape some good results lately. So really going to be a really tough match. And we will have to be on top of our game and not be complacent. And we will need to try and play our game and impose our game on them. We need to make sure also that we are in control of the game and not do this basketball. I know I've mentioned it a couple of times because I feel like teams, I don't know why, I feel like teams on purpose tried to get us involved in that type of game. I think it happened a little bit against Chelsea at one point, where they wanted to get us dragged into this kind of scruffy kind of game. We're a lot better when we just control the game and play our football. And if we can do that against Crystal Palace, then I think we can get a victory. Defensively, they've been okay, but I think they've got more of a goal attack than their defensive abilities are. Mark Gay, he's quite a good defender actually as well. And then Mitchell, I think it's Mitchell. He plays on the right or left. One of the defenders. Yeah.
Tariq Mitchell is left.
Tariq Mitchell. He likes to get forward and try and get some assists as well. You kind of watch out for him. And then I don't know if the player's fit, but Jeffrey Schlupp, for some reason, he's like a super sub and always comes on and scores a goal against teams. So he's one of those ones that I just every time I just hope he doesn't play because for some reason I feel like he's going to score.
I feel like I'm not sure. Jeffrey Schlupp gone to. I think he left in January.
Oh, has he left? Has he left?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, good.
Is he gone up to Celtic? I don't know. He's gone somewhere. I think he left on loan there in January. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I can't remember
Good,
where he's gone,
because
but
he's one of
he's
those
been a thorn on
players.
our side.
Oh my god, he's just one of those players that, like if he's not playing from the start, he'll come on and for some reason he just managed to find a goal from somewhere or he creates an assist or something. So I don't know if it's all about us keeping their players quiet. I think they have to. They're at home. The onus is on them, and they have to try and keep our players quiet. I think we've got enough quality in our team, with defenders coming back, with Ezri Konsa back and stuff to do a good solid defense. I'm hoping for actually a clean sheet in this game, and I'll take a 1-0 win or a 2-0 win. But I think we get a clean sheet in this game just to help build our goal scoring difference up a little bit.
I really want Demi to get a clean sheet. He deserves it. He's such a perfectionist, but he just can't get a clean sheet for love nor money. And the thing that kind of frustrates me about this Villa team, as I always say it, is teams have moments in games. We always seem to concede when a team has a moment. That's the problem we have. We don't always seem to score when we're having the momentum with us. Hopefully that will change, with the additions and stuff. But whenever a team has a 10-15 minute spell against us, they always score in that spell. We just can't seem to shut them out. It's very rare that we I don't know. But obviously that's the next move. And look, we've got Pau Torres and Kamara coming back soon. That's going to help with the conceding goal side of things. Then you've Onana and Barkley due to come back soon. That's going to give us. We know we're strong in the forward areas now, but Onana and Barkley coming back is going to give us big cover in the midfield areas as well too. Because Youri Tielemans needs a rest at some point. He's like Iron Man there. He's playing every minute of every game, giving an 8, minimum 8 out of 10 every week. There, he's a machine, but that machine needs a break at some point before he breaks down himself, because we can't risk Tielemans getting injured at the moment. So I think Barkley is very, very close to getting back. I'd expect him to be on the bench tomorrow night, just from memory. He's talking the post match after Chelsea. So he said Kamara and Onana are close, but they're a couple of weeks away yet. So that'll probably be after the international break, I would imagine. But Barkley is very, very close. So even being able to just take Tielemans off for 10 or 15 minutes at the end of a game is going to be huge, because he is literally playing 90 minutes every game, every competition, every
top
game.
Player, and he's just showing some really good leadership skills. Tielemans, I know I keep
phenomenal.
I know a lot of supporters loved it when he was playing more forward playing like the 10, wasn't he, for a little bit? But I mean, when he's in the middle of the park, when I'm watching, I feel like we're safe. I don't know why. I just feel like we're safe. We can control games. He's got the know-how. His turn and passing ability and his ability to read the game has been instrumental in the lot since we've had Kamara injured. And I think we also have to give credit to John McGinn as well, because I think he's out there doing a job. He's been given, like, the way that he's played, it doesn't feel like, I don't know how to say this. I'm not criticizing him. What I'm saying is, like, he's playing in a way where it doesn't look like he has a bunch of freedom to do a lot of things, but he's being really controlled and measured in the way that he's playing at the moment. And he's doing a bit of the dirty work and just allowing Tielemans to do that creative side, if you like. But he's doing it in a really impressive way and has been for the last few games as well. I think he understands what it means. I think all these players understand what the assignment is, what we need to do in order to move forward. And I think that we kick off again and we go again against Palace, and there's definitely 3 points there available for us to pick up and start competing for the top 5.
I get such a close turnaround from the last game. It's vital that we keep this momentum going and get to 3 points now. Like, we seem to be turning a corner, and hopefully we can start to find a bit of consistency. Like, I'm not going to ask you to predict the lineup, because I don't think it's really fair, because it's so close to the last game. I think we have no idea who's going to be carrying knocks and stuff from that. Like, it's a very hard lineup to predict because it's so close. I mean, like, some players have not played many minutes. You don't know how's Matty Cash going to be after his first start. All this, like, there's a lot. So, I mean, yourself and Rhino can cover the lineup Thursday or Wednesday night.
Would you rest? Would you give Rodgers a rest in this game against Palace?
No, because I think he'll probably get arrested against Cardiff Friday.
Yeah, right.
If I'm honest,
Okay.
There's enough of a gap for me. I think Rodgers has to keep playing. He's too important. But I think we can rest him against Cardiff Friday night, and that will give him a whole week up to Bruges. For me, I would, if he's spitting firing and he's not carrying a knock. He said to Asensio afterwards, Colin Camera, he gave him the wink, said I'm fine, just a sore knee. So he said
that was actually a really good moment, wasn't it? It was such a good moment. That was a good moment just to see, like, Asensio, how's your knees? Like, your knee all right? You know, big experienced player asking him, and he's like, yeah, I'll be fine. Gives him a hug and stuff. But I love these players, man. Like, I just love I love the group, as you know, you can see that they've got a real togetherness, this group, and I talk about it a lot, but it when I watch the game, I want to see these guys smiling, and you know, if something doesn't quite work out, you know, when they've tried to move or something, I like to see that they smiled and they give that sort of pat on the back or that nod of approval to say, yeah, we didn't get it that time, maybe we'll get it next time. I
was saying to Marley from the Football Social Daily podcast, he's a big Newcastle fan. I'm in their Telegram group there. I was saying to him, and I was saying to my friend Cullum that was in the chat here the last day, the Liverpool fan, like I was saying to them today separately, like I was like, you know, like obviously the league is over now, Liverpool, like can't see them throwing it away from here. So you go into next season, but you know, Salah and Van Dijk are just, there's going to be, if they don't sign a new contract, which I don't personally think they're going to, I think they'll both win the league and sail off into the sunset personally. It's going to be a massive hole for Liverpool to fill, like those two players. I think Trent is replaceable, but I think Van Dijk and Salah, it's going to take them a long time to replace that. And then you look at like Man City, and they're in a massive moment of transition, a rebuild. They have a big rebuild ahead of them. De Bruyne is going to go. Bernardo Silva is probably going to go. Ederson's probably going to go. Big players. So there's a massive rebuild there. Arsenal will just continuously shoot themselves in the foot. For that, I have no doubt. And then you have Spurs, Chelsea, and United, who they're not really anything special at the moment, you know. So you're going to next season. We need to get our recruitment right, and I think if Newcastle and Villa can go in and get the recruitment right, why not have a stab of it this next year? Because I'm telling you, in the last 25 years, there's never been a more realistic opportunity for a club like a Newcastle or a Villa to actually have a proper shot at the title or really challenge for it, because you have 5 or 6 of the regular big spending clubs in that transitional period. Like it's never going to happen again. Like this is probably the only year or two where you're going to see all the clubs kind of have a lot going on for them, you know. It's been a closed shop for so long. So I think we need to get our recruitment right in the summer. And
so really, did you say that Van Dijk and Salah, you said they're going to be leaving on a free, right? Yeah,
both their contracts are up in June, yeah. And I believe they would have signed by now if they were going to sign.
As soon as I jump off with you, I'm just going to give my mate Monchi a call. Just let him know that if we're playing Champions League next season, I'll just let him know, and Damien as well. I'll let him know that there's a couple of players that we could probably bring in on a free and give them a decent salary if they're interested in staying in the Premier League and if they're interested in playing Champions League if we get there. But there's space for, there's a really good club they could go to if they want to stay in England. It's only up the road as well. They only have to drive like half an hour. Well, a bit more than that, but they could just come down.
I don't think Villa are going to be able to offer them the same money as the Saudis will, but we can try. But I'm actually serious about that, though. I think this summer could be very vital for us, because if we can smell blood, like, you know, the clubs aren't where they are. If Liverpool keep Van Dijk and Salah, I genuinely think that that makes it a close shop next season, because Liverpool that good. But I think Van Dijk and Salah are that important to Liverpool, this particular Liverpool team. It's going to be two massive holes. They will replace them eventually, but it's going to take a year or two. So I think Villa, Newcastle, whoever else like fancies their shot, this could be the time. You just need to get your recruitment right, because as I said, it's never going to happen again for the next couple of years where all 5 or 6 of the big hitters are in the transition at the same time. Like.
Yeah, they are in transition, and we've done really well, like in terms of intelligent signings, haven't we? Like we've done really. I don't think there's. I'm trying to think. We haven't had a bad signing that's come in that hasn't been able to improve the team at the moment, and that's down to Emery, and that's down to Monchi, that's down to Damien, and that's down to the owners actually saying we're willing to help you, because they're saying we're not going out and spending £100 million on players and £50 million on players for the sake of it. They're trying to bat smart and bring decent players in that can actually have an effect who are going to be quality and can fit into the system, who are intelligent. And we're still building this side. And I think, as I said in the last podcast, I definitely think that next season, I think that's Emery's team next season. It's his team now, but next season, that's going to be more like what his team is going to be looking like. His squad will start looking like.
I think the John Durant sale will probably, hopefully, help be able to kind of loosen the shackles of spending a little bit.
Yeah, and anyway, he's over there getting sent off all the time. So
yeah, and so with him, with Emery, obviously he has an eye for a player like Rodgers. Garcia looks a very shrewd signing. So a couple of more of them without putting the health of the club at risk. And there you go. Why not? Why can't we have a proper crack at it next season if other teams are in transition? You know, that's the reality. That's where we want to head for. And you know, if you smell blood, you have to kind of strike. People might think I'm delusional, but I'm not coming from the point that Villa should be challenging for the title. I come from the point like the league has never, as long as I'm following football, been this open. It's always either been United and Arsenal, United, Chelsea and Arsenal.
Yeah.
City and
top
Liverpool.
Four.
Just
remember they had the top four.
Yeah,
it was top two, and then it was top four, and then it was top three, or whatever it was.
Yeah, this is the first time in a long time that it genuinely does look like it's possibly probably from '99. I would say, you know, like it's the first time in a long time that we see that someone else can come in. I know with Leicester, but Leicester was a fluke. This is like a one-off. You know, amazing to see it. You want to see more.
Yeah.
But this is a team that, like a Newcastle or a Villa, who've been slowly building whatever. Like this is the time now. I think. Yeah, it mightn't happen, but I'm saying for us as a club, we kind of have to try and take that opportunity whilst it's presenting itself now, because it may never present itself again, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Right, before we wrap
just
up.
Say, Chachur, my brother, to Martin McKeever. Hello from New Zealand via Dundalk. Glad to catch you live. Thanks, lads. Great job. Good to see you, Martin. Welcome in, and as usual, good to see you here and stuff. And Chachur.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Cheers for jumping in the comments, and we really appreciate everyone that jumps in and gives a comment and watches us here. Yeah, and if you are new to the podcast, your first time, just do all the usual stuff for us, isn't it? Jump on. If you're watching on X, just jump across to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us a follow on X. Where can they find us, Tess?
And find us on Instagram at Villa Pride Down Under, on X at Pride Down Under. And thanks for everyone for listening to the podcast. We're really enjoying the interaction with everybody. So keep it up. Tell your friends to tune in and listen, and press the like button. And even if they can't watch all the time, they can watch it later and save it for later on. So you'll get all the notifications of when we're going to be on. So the next time we'll be on will probably be on a Wednesday after the Palace game. And that'll probably be myself and Rhino who come on and do a show then.
Yeah. And hopefully, it's been a while, so hopefully with the Cardiff being a Friday night game, we'll be hoping that the three of us will be on together for the first time in a while, the weekend at some point, Saturday. That would hopefully be the aim. I think we probably will manage it this weekend, won't we? Where the three of us get on together. So
it could be special because Rhino's from Rhino's home country there.
Yeah, and then obviously, and thankfully the clocks are changing in the UK again on the 1st of March, so it's we'll be able to get on the three of us regularly again together. UK time, mate. You try getting up at 1:30 in the morning for a game, mate, and you tell me that's UK time.
All right, I think we wrap it up here, Spud.
Yeah, guys, thanks very much to everybody, and we hope we'll come back Wednesday with a winning podcast, because it's very important that we keep this momentum going after a fantastic 3 points. And all that we can carry on to the next episode is Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.